Microfinancing is believed by many to be the future in helping third world communities escape severe poverty. I was able to travel to Liberia, West Africa and assess a microfinancing institution. But before that trip, I traveled to Nashville, Tennessee and met with Peter Greer, the president of Hope International, a nonprofit organization who plays a key role in the microfinancing movement.
Everyone has heard the Chinese proverb that if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for a lifetime. But I found that that's not really true. Because around the world there are so many individuals that know how to fish, that want to fish, have the motivation to fish, but they're missing a net, they're missing access to the lake, they're missing bait. And so microfinance goes in and doesn't just teach how to fish, but it says we're going to give you what you need to start a fishing business. And typically that's access to a small amount of money, maybe $50, maybe $100, maybe $200, that an individual who, again, wants to work, wants to provide for his or her family can use to grow a small business that ends up taking care of the needs for a family.
With a very small loan of $100 to a family, we have been able to help families start and grow small self-sustained businesses. And most of the people who are poor from this area do not have the collaterals to give to banks to borrow money. So microloan kind of let the community vouch for each other has been a perfect match. Upon entering the village, we spread the word around, letting people know that there is business opportunity. When we bring our applicants to a small business workshop, we help them understand how a business runs, including how to price a product and how to determine what product to buy and what product might sell. As you may know, the community here is very communal, so one way or the other, people borrow money from each other. If a person lives in a neighborhood, they may have in some time, years past or months past, borrow money from the neighbor and maybe was able to pay back. And that person from whom you borrow the money may be able to vouch for you when we do the credit check. The elders are involved with the lending process. The village leadership is very top down. So before giving out a loan, the elder also signs off on the loan. That makes the borrower liable. So if at all we know that the default is due to mismanagement, then the borrower is responsible to pay. After we approve a candidate for a loan, we put them into support group of all numbers. Instead of policing them, they police each other. That is, if you and I are part of a small group, if I don't pay my loan, you are responsible to pay my loan. So that model has been very successful. It has worked for us.
Unemployment in Liberia is at around 80%. And that creates a catch-22. If there are no businesses, there are no jobs. If there are no jobs, people can't earn a wage to save up to create their own business, to create more jobs. This is a village community. They do everything for the village. If you go around this community and start asking questions, you'll realize very quickly that most of the people here are related to each other. It's just one big family. So everyone is interested in community development as well as their own personal development.
One of the ways that this program has benefited a community is that it gives them ownership of the school, the elementary school we have here, because the little interest that is paid on the loan is used to provide meal for their children. So parents who are applicants for the microloan know that the money that they pay on the loan goes to feeding the children at school. And that will make any parent feel good because you know that you are taking care of your child and that you know you are a part of your child's education. When we came, Rufus and his wife, they had a very small business. They started burning coal and they did it on a very small scale. But when we came, we were able to extend to her some seed monies with which they were able to expand the coal business and start a shop. And out of that shop, he was able to build the profit from that business. He was able to build the first house ever to be built in Balama with indoor plumbing. Rufus, for one, is one of those parents that I'm very proud of. His kids attend Balama School and he serves as the chairperson for the PTA. With his influence and his ability to mobilize the community. The PTA is building an auditorium as a gift to the school. And all of the resources for the auditorium, the PTA mobilized and was able to fund. So they are giving to the community.
Don't underestimate that there are individuals living in every single country in the world who share our desire to make a lasting impact. And some of the most incredible people that I get to work with are people that were born in these communities, grew up with a dirt floor, and now are being used to bring transformation to those same communities. This is not a perfect tool. No tool is perfect. No matter what brochures you might see or no matter what you might read on the internet, there is no tool. The problem of poverty is so complex. It has its roots in all sorts of different factors, and there's not one tool that's going to be perfect. It's not going to be overnight success, but it's going to slowly put them on a pathway out of poverty.
We have had successes as well as failures. We also have people who have not been able to quite make it. We have had businesses fold up because either a child fell ill and the mother has to use the money from the loan to take the child to the hospital, which is human because I would not have money and let my child die. And in those cases, usually we just waive the loan. I want to say like we've had at least 90% payback, and I want to say probably 7% go into default, and about 3% still hanging out there, which is very insignificant compared to the amount that was invested.
This issue of compassion is the right place to start, but it's an insufficient place to end. And so what we want to do is we want to take our hearts that want to do good and we want to combine it with our heads and say what works, what doesn't work, and to not be afraid to ask some really tough questions. When I lived overseas in Rwanda, it was eye-opening for me to recognize that good intentions don't always have good results. And there are many, many examples to this, and many examples that I've seen around the world. Not that long ago, a staff member was in Haiti doing an assessment and ended up asking a woman why she didn't repair her home. There were some basic things, the door was off the hinges, there were some basic things that she could have done to improve her home. And what she said is, it's about to be summer. This is when the short-term mission teams come in, and they always choose the poorest people to build a new home for. And so she had no motivation to do the modest improvements that she could do in her home. It was better for her to play the lottery, to try and get lucky, try to be one of the few most destitute people that was going to win the charity lottery, was going to get a brand new home, extreme makeover, get this unbelievable home. And so she was disempowered to do what she could do to make modest improvements by this hope, this grasping hope that only a few people win in. I believe that there is, that good intentions are not enough. And there's a great book that's out by Brian Fickert and Steve Corbett called When Helping Hurts. And I think that title says it in a beautiful way, that sometimes we as the church actually are hurting the people that we're trying to help by misdiagnosing the problem, by having a small vision of what poverty is, and by defining it just by the lack of stuff and thinking that if we just give enough stuff away that we can make an impact on poverty. That only reinforces the chains of dependency and helplessness and voicelessness that we're trying to go in and break.
I don't know the first thing about how to tap a rubber tree. These people do. I don't know the first thing about how to grow coffee beans the right way or cocoa the right way. I don't know the first thing about indigenous beliefs and how to navigate those things. I don't know a whole lot about cultural norms around here. So it would be extremely arrogant for me to step in with a complete ignorance to those sorts of things and tell people in a tight-knit community how things should be done. That would only spell disaster, and it has. Identify these leaders of these communities. Come alongside them, offer them more training, offer them the raw materials that they actually need, and then allow them the space to care for their people in the way that their people need to be cared for.
Second thing that I have learned along this journey is that it's not hopeless. there are things that are being done to make a radical difference. And it's not just this incredible issue that there's so much poverty that it's just overwhelming and we can't do anything. Lives are being changed. And actually, if you look at the data, there's incredible progress that's happened within my lifetime. Incredible progress of how much of the world used to live in poverty and how much of the world currently lives in poverty. The Brookings Institute estimates that now, over the last number of years, 1 to 2% of individuals living in poverty are getting out of extreme poverty. That means about 70 million individuals are getting out of poverty every single year. That's the population of Turkey when you look at an individual that is living in extreme poverty. It changes. I think part of our humanity recognizes that that individual has the same desires, is just born in a very different place. I had nothing to do with where I was born. And I think when you see individuals, when you see the reality of what life looks like, when you really understand that just as easily could have been you born in that situation, I think the parable of the Good Samaritan, how would you want someone to respond if you were the person that was beat up on the side of the road? Would you want people to keep walking by, or would you want someone to have compassion on you? And I think that's part of our shared humanity, that there is incredible poverty in our world. And we, for whatever reason, were born in a place of incredible prosperity. And so I think for anyone who sees that, anyone who understands how much we've been given, there is this desire to say, if we can make an impact in a family's life, if we can make an impact in a community's life, why not?
You can order Peter's book, The Poor Will Be Glad, at all online bookstores. For more interviews, visit williamandkeats.com.
I do have a Rwanda name. My Rwanda name is Mzungu Chane Chane. That means the whitest of the white men.